Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. I greet all my brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum, and for those fasting Muslims, Ramadan Mubarak. I know it's warm out here. The minister's here and he's ready. Are you ready to hear the minister? I was talking on the phone because Libya is trying to reach through to us, and they were trying to give a message from Brother Muammar Gaddafi. He's been watching the whole proceeds out here today in Libya. He is very happy. They were panicking. They called me because they saw these red, black, and green flags. And you know the opposition against Muammar Gaddafi have a red, black, and green flag with a crescent in it. And it's the flag that belonged to King Idris before the Libyan Revolution, September the 1st, 1969. So I had to give them a little history lesson on where that flag came from, and I assured them that it was not the Libyan opposition flag in the crowd here in Harlem, New York. So they wanted to give a message. We could not get the lines through if the brothers are working on it. But I would like to make sure that the Iranian TV is let inside over here. They're streaming live to Iran, and it's very important because Iran will send it up throughout the world. Make sure that the brothers let the Iranian TV people come in. Okay, they want to bring a camera in. Let them come in. Now let me make this quick. I know our brothers from Cote d'Ivoire are here. They are a classic example in Black Africa of what's happening. Nearly 3,000 plus people died. The French wanted that country, but you never saw that they created a no-fly zone. They wanted a man in, they wanted a man out, and they dominated that country. People are dying in Syria, thousands now, but there was not a no-fly zone, there was no bombing, the sanctions have been very light. But why did they do all of this to Libya? Because Libya has what they want, oil, and they want Muammar Gaddafi out of the way. So this afternoon at this gathering, we thank the D12, December the 12th movement, for bringing this about. When they asked Minister Farrakhan, Brother Minister, would you join us? Would you be our keynote speaker? The minister immediately agreed, yes, I'm with you, and that's why we're here this afternoon. So I don't want you to wait any longer. You know Akbar's long-winded, but our minister's here. And I want you to hear from him. Here's a man that feels for God in everything that he does. Here's a man, I said that the minister is loved and respected throughout the world. In Mauritius, from Cairo to Cape Town, from Marrakesh to Maputo in Zimbabwe, all over Africa, Minister Farrakhan is loved and respected. And you say, why is he loved and respected? He's loved and respected because he's a champion for the cause of the oppressed. He speaks for the people who have no voice. He has no fear to talk to those in power and causes of his people and what his people is suffering throughout the world. So he's the man that is loved by the people. Harlem was his home for 10 years. He walked these streets as the people waved to him and said, Brother Farrakhan, we with you because they knew in Minister Louis Farrakhan they had a man that could speak to their heart and for their hurt and their pressure. So here he is, Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Thank you. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the members of the human family. That whenever any member of the human family strays from his straight path and loses his divine favor, before he punishes, he always, out of his mercy, raises from among the people a prophet or a messenger through whom he gives divine revelation by which he can guide that people back to his straight path and back to his divine favor. We thank him for Moses and the Israelite prophets that gave us the Torah and the Old Testament. We thank him for Jesus and the apostles that gave us the Injil or the Gospel and the New Testament. And we thank him for Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, through whom he gave to the world the last revelation to come, the Holy Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Allah. I am a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I could never thank Allah enough for his intervention in the affairs of black people in America in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who came among us and raised from among us one from among us on whom he would place the mission of resurrecting us from the grave of mental death and ignorance. I thank him for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his messenger Messiah to us, and I am honored beyond words to greet all of you with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. First, to thank you to all of the believers of Mosque number 7 and Malcolm Shabazz Mosque number 7 and all of the Muslims. I greet all of you with the greeting words of peace and wish to all of us Ramadan Mubarak. To all of my nationalist family and my Christian family and my non-committed family, I greet all of you with the greeting words of peace again. Assalamu alaikum. To Sister Viola Plummer and the December 12th movement, words are inadequate to say thank you to you for the vision that you had for this day. Thanks to every speaker who spoke from your hearts concerning the suffering of our people, not only in Africa, but wherever our people are suffering, particularly in the United States of America. We thank all of the peace activists who may be present and those who just wanted to come out of curiosity to hear what we have to say. I'm honored beyond words to be back home in Harlem. We spent 10 years from Mosque number 7 on 116th Street, and this New York, my first love. I'm living in Chicago. It's my second love that has become my first love. I thank you all, and I hope that the words that Allah may guide me to speak will be beneficial to us all. The greatest gift that we could have at a time like this is guidance and warning. Guidance is more precious than money, because if you have money and no guidance, you don't know what to do with what you have. And if you have guidance and no money, good guidance will help you to get what you need to get through. So the most precious gift to any government and people today is right guidance. when people are conflicted, where their own personal fears, their personal needs cause them to mix truth with falsehood or not speak straight words to those in power and even to their own people, then those kinds of persons who think more for their own personal security than for the good of a people and a nation and a world, these are enemies masquerading as friends. It's going to take strength today in leadership to not hide truth, nor mix truth up with falsehood. Don't seek positions in a government that's coming down and then butter up truth to advance yourself among a people whose time has come to an end. We must speak truth to power or die. We must not be afraid to tell the truth, even if it means we lose our lives, because there is nothing more precious in this universe than truth. The Quran says he created the heavens and the earth with truth. The Bible says he created the heavens and the earth with wisdom. So our lives are based in truth. And if we live for the truth and die for the truth, we never die, because you can never kill the truth. So today, I'm going to speak some harsh truth. Today, I want to talk to your hearts, to your minds, to your spirit, because we are in great trouble as we speak. And if our leaders will not tell us and guide us properly, then they're going down and they'll take us down with them. This is why the Bible says, if the blind lead the blind, both fall in the ditch. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the ditch represents hell, destruction. And right now, as a people, we're in hell, and we are being destroyed. And there are forces that are planning our destruction. So I want to lay it out today as clearly as I can, so you will see tomorrow's headlines today, because tomorrow's headlines are known. Tomorrow's headlines have been written before we were born, and they're found in the prophetic utterances of God's prophets and messengers. Now, this world in which we live is called in the Quran a transitory life in a world of sport and play. This is a contrary world to the nature of God and the nature in which he created the universe, and it is a contrary world to our nature. We have been living among those who have used falsehood and deceit and murder and death and destruction as a principle of governance. They have exploited the wealth of the world and killed the indigenous peoples of the earth, never thinking that, as Jesus said, God is not mocked. As you have done, so shall it be done unto you. And whatsoever a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. Well, it's reaping time now. And in order for the wicked to take the righteous down with them, they must deceive you into thinking that you have it made here under this system. I want to say to all of you, because you have a black president does not mean that America is the home of the brave and the land of the free and everything is all right now because a black man is taking care of the affairs of white people. In fact, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that no one man can rise above the condition of his people. So if our people are going backwards and our brother is going upwards, then his upward mobility is to deceive the masses into thinking that his going up is a way up for us, when in reality it's deceiving you into holding on to a system that never was designed to give black people freedom, justice, and equality. We are going to have to carve out a destiny for ourselves. No white or black man in the White House can give us what our unity can give us for ourselves. Now, I'm here this afternoon to talk about what is going on from the United Nations and NATO against Muammar Gaddafi, the Libyan people, and really it's an attack on Africa. Our sister, Viola Plummer, and the December 12th movement, and all of the wonderful speakers that are here because we see a move to recolonize Africa. There is a force or forces that want to destroy the future of Africa, that our future will also be destroyed in the destruction of the future of Africa. If you were Chinese, when you see the rise of China, mainland China or Taiwan China, China is becoming a world power that America and others are fearing. Well, if you're Chinese in America, the rise of China mainland gives Chinese Americans feelings of strength, feelings of courage and pride. When Africa rises, when Africa shows the world what she can do and contribute to the onward movement of world civilization, when Africa takes her rightful place, all Africans in the diaspora, nearly 500 million of us, will rise in every society where we are. So the threat to Africa is a threat to every son and daughter of Africa, wherever we may be found on this planet. Before I go any further, most of you here, all of us in Harlem, have been taught and helped and guided by the voice of a man from television station ABC, a program called Like It Is, and a brother that we all know and love called Gil Noble. When we got off the plane yesterday, I want to thank the members of the Newark Police Force who met me at the airport and escorted me to Montclair, New Jersey, to the hospital where Gil Noble is trying and fighting for his life. The family told me that the doctors had walked them twice in the halls of the hospital telling them that Gil Noble was going to die. He was brain dead, and that they should go on and pull the plug because he was on life support. A few days ago, the family came together around Gil, and they pulled the plug. I imagine they were expecting the worst, but he started breathing on his own. One hour passed, 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed. He was still breathing on his own. His beloved wife, Gina, put her hand in his hand, and he squeezed it. And we talked to his daughter, Lisa, and I said, Lisa, you know, when we get to New York, the first thing I'm going to do is go see my brother. Yesterday, I went to see Gil Noble, and when I entered the room, I kissed him on his forehead, and we began to talk around him. It didn't appear right then that he was conscious of what was going on around him, but in a few minutes, his eyes started to open. And then I went over and sat by him, and I hit the bed. I was talking, and I did this. And then he hit the bed 3 times. Then he reached for my hand, and he squeezed my hand. And he took his hand up to my face and did this to my chin, opened his eyes real wide, and tried to talk, though I didn't understand his words. Our brother is fighting for his life, his children. I believe today he is in rehab. And hopefully, Gil Noble will be back with us again by the grace of Allah soon. His son is here, Chris, his daughter, Lisa, all of the family. Would you just stand and let the people see the fruit? I wish you could just come up quickly. They just want to thank you for your prayers for their dad. Give me the name. Here comes, I think this is Lisa Noble. This is Chris Noble. This is Alice, his niece. And they want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for your prayers for their father and their uncle. Thank you. Now let's get back to business. What is it in our government, the government of the United States of America, that makes them hate Muammar Gaddafi so much that on 2 occasions they have organized the most expensive assassination attempts in the history of the world? I want you to think now. Who is Muammar Gaddafi that under the administration of President Ronald Reagan, on the pretext that Libyans bombed a German discotheque and 2 Americans lost their lives, that he, Reagan, would order planes out of England to fly, and the French government would not let those planes fly over France, so they had to go down the Atlantic Ocean into the Mediterranean, be refueled, then bomb Benghazi, Tripoli, and other places in Libya to kill brother leader Muammar Gaddafi, and they failed. That's one attempt. Now, the second attempt, very expensive, very expensive. They used the United Nations. And this is why we really have to consider whether Africa should stay in it, or whether serious governments that seek justice and peace should stay in the United Nations. Now, America has tremendous influence in the Security Council. And so a resolution was passed that legitimized a no-fly zone over Libya. But they didn't just want a no-fly zone. They wanted to kill brother leader Muammar Gaddafi. So they bombed where he lived, where they thought he might be. And they kept bombing and they kept bombing. Then they would see Muammar Gaddafi in the streets of Tripoli to the cheers of his people. They had failed, and they've spent millions and millions and millions of dollars. Tell me something, brothers and sisters. Why would America want him dead so bad that they would use the power of their military and the military of NATO and destroy this man's country? Now listen, bombing his infrastructure, destroying his communications, destroying the man-made river project, doing everything they can to destroy the infrastructure of the country, then rob him, took advantage of their power to strip $30 billion and offer it to an illegitimate government that they set up, a puppet regime to do the bidding of America and the West and not true service to the Libyan people. What is it about Gaddafi that they are conspiring to do this to him. He's a very unusual brother. Let me tell you why I believe they want him dead. But we don't need to just look over there. Because you'll soon see, if they can't shut my mouth, which they can't, and if it appears that you are awakening from the sound of the truth from our lips, then they will want to silence us as well. But I say to the government of the United States, as the prophets of old said to the wicked of their day, come against me with all you got. I want you to hear what I'm saying. Come against me with all that you have and give me no respite. And in the end, I will be standing because I'm standing with Allah and Allah is standing with me. I'm calling them out. See, if God is real, and we believe and know he is, then who are they in their wicked planning against the power and wisdom of God? But if you don't believe or half believe, then you will fear what they have the visible power to do. But I know that they don't have what you think they have and what they've deceived themselves into thinking that they have. Allah is sufficient for the believer. So those of you who want to lead our people, if you say you believe in God or Christ, then demonstrate that by fearless, uncompromising, unwavering steadfastness in the pursuit of justice, freedom, and equality. Otherwise, you should sit down and get out of the way. For those of us who know God will lead this struggle. And we are the overcomers. Believe it or let it alone. What has Gaddafi done? Did you know that in March of this year, the UN was getting ready to give Gaddafi and the Libyan Jamahiriya a humanitarian award? A UN report said, listen to this, that the Gaddafi regime protected, quote, not only political rights, but also economic, social, and cultural rights. And they praised it for the nation's treatment of religious minorities and the human rights training received by security forces. It was approved and to be voted on later in the month of March. But the attack started in February. And what was the propaganda? That Gaddafi threatened to kill his own people. Let's stop for a minute. Now, You know, you should always be suspicious when America, England, France, Italy, Germany, Europe are concerned for the lives of black people. You really should stop a moment and look at the humanitarian suffering inside America and say, if the suffering in America hasn't touched the hearts of Congress and the U.S. government to make laws to protect the weak and the poor, black, brown, and white of this nation, how in the world could you believe that they are so concerned about the humanitarian needs of the Libyan people? Now look, when they didn't kill him at first, they put very harsh sanctions on Libya. You know, they sanctioned the nation. We were protecting project houses where our women and men and children could not play in the projects because of the drug traffic going on. When the Muslims came, even the drug dealers respected our presence. And after a while, the children could play in the streets and the mothers felt secure because we were protecting the inner city project dwellings. But your Congressman Peter King went to the Congress because those brothers were being supported under the housing and urban development of the U.S. government. They pulled back all funding because they thought Farrakhan was getting the money. Farrakhan never got anything. I'm not looking for nothing but the justice, the freedom, the peace, and the security of our people. I'm here today. I did not ask for a nickel. I did not ask for a dime. I paid my way here, tens of thousands of dollars, and brought those who love me here at our expense to support the December 12th movement and this cry to liberate Africa. It's not about money. It's about the liberation of our people. Money will come, but you must never allow yourself to be a whore and fight for money rather than fighting on righteous principles. During 10 years of sanctions, Muammar Gaddafi continued to build. He had a man-made river project, $33 billion of Libyan oil money, bringing water from the Sahara Desert up to the surface so that the people of Benghazi that are fighting him now, and Tobruk all the way to near the border of Tunisia could have water. And you could see green now in the desert that was brown and sandy because Gaddafi wanted his people to be agriculturally free from the domination of Europe and their food products. So now, he also built houses during that 10-year period for all his people. Nobody in Libya is homeless. Let me say it again. Nobody in Libya is homeless. Nobody in Libya is living under bridges. Nobody in Libya has to fight for health insurance. Every Libyan has free medical attention in the hospitals and clinics of Libya that has the finest healthcare facilities in the third world. Now, is this a man that just for himself? I don't mean to discredit my beloved brothers and sisters in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, because I have been in their palaces. And in one palace I was in, the thoroughfare inside the palace was so wide, you could ride 16-wheelers, or what they call them? Tractor trailers, going in opposite directions just in the corridor of the palace. I've seen palaces that they're so magnificent. Some of them cost over $1 billion. Go to Libya and see if you can find Gaddafi living in palaces from the wealth of the people. Gaddafi loves tents. He lives in tents. And when he came to New York a few years ago to the UN General Assembly, he wanted to set up a tent. I think it was in Mount Morris Park. They didn't want him to be there. He rented a place out in Long Island under Mr. Trump. Trump took his money and never allowed him to pitch a tent. He owned property in New Jersey. He wanted to set up a tent there, but they wouldn't let him set up a tent. Here's a man that's very simple. I have met him in his tent several times, and I have visited with him in CERT in the new convention center that he set up, but never have I visited him in a palace. This is the kind of man they want to kill. So all of the people in Libya have a home, either a flat, as you call it, or an apartment, or an actual house. All Libyans have automobiles. Yeah, they ride their own cars that the government gives them. Yes. And the very people that revolted in Benghazi, if you listen to the news, it said they were lawyers, they were doctors, they were engineers. Who educated them? It was Muammar Gaddafi who educated his people. They have free education in Libya, and anywhere that they want to study in the world, they go to America, to Europe, they get their courses paid for, and they get a stipend from their government. He educates his people to bring them home, to serve Libya, to serve Africa, to serve the world. This is the Gaddafi they want to kill. He has raised the standard of living of the Libyan people. Is the highest on the African continent. And when he came to power, the life expectancy of the average Libyan was 44 years of age. And now the life expectancy of the Libyan people is 75 years of age, which many of you in this audience, the way you live your life, you may never see 75. This is the man they want to kill. When he came to power, the literacy rate in Libya was 20%. Now, 83% of the Libyan people are educated. Everybody has free medical care and medicine. And guess what? They're saying in America that our brother Barack may lose because it's jobs, 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 and he's not creating jobs. But in Libya, all the Libyans who want to work have a job. And not only do they have a job, tens of thousands of non-Libyans were in Libya working when the trouble started. From China, from the Philippines, from other African nations. Yes, he provided employment for tens of thousands of others other than his own people. Well, let's look at his oil wealth. Did you know that every Libyan benefits in the shared profits from the sale of sweet crude oil? Every Libyan gets a stipend from oil. How many of you have gotten anything from Shell, from Amoco, from Conoco, from any of the conglomerate robbers, thieves, cutthroats of the poor? How many of you have gotten anything from your government that equals what Brother Gaddafi gives to his own people? Well, let's look at his governing style. They call him a dictator. Now, I'm a fortunate brother because after the Million Man March, when he saw nearly 2 million black men show up in Washington, Brother Akbar can attest to this, he treated Farrakhan as a head of state. And when I went to Libya, he would have African presidents and he would invite me in to sit in the discourse with 10, 15, 20 African presidents. And let me tell you what he said to them in private. He said, you cannot run your country on the style of American democracy. He said, you are a president for 4 years, and if they don't like the way you're guiding your people, they upset your government, and all the good things that you did in 4 years or 8 years can be wiped out in another 8 when they get a new president. He said, you are revolutionaries. And if you're a revolutionaries, you let others be the president and you guide the revolution. I heard him say that to President Rollins and others. And naturally, I'm listening and I'm learning. Because people ask me, Farrakhan, you should run for some Senate office or some political office. I said, man, I don't want that crap. You pardon me. Pardon me. I don't ever want to be in a condition or position where I have to compromise principle and truth for political progress. To hell with that. You all be the politician, but I'm going to be the prophetic voice that will always tell you what God wants, and to hell with what man wants. You either going to do the will of God or you get the hell out of the way. We have to make examples of politicians. He was neither a dictator or a president. I flew on airplanes with the president of Libya. never with Muammar Gaddafi. He's the revolutionary leader. Some of the silly people say, he's been there 41 years. He's been there too long. Stupid. And some of you say you believe in Christ. Some of you say you believe in Moses. Some of you say you believe in Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Well, check this out. Moses lived 120 years. Wasn't nobody trying to overthrow him because he'd been there too long. He was guiding a people that was subjected to the mind of Pharaoh. And you cannot release people from that kind of cruel bondage in 8 years or 10 years or 20 years or 40 years. You've got to be able to guide the revolution to its conclusion. Now, some of you know that Jesus didn't live a long time, but what he set down in his 36 years of life is guiding millions and millions of Christians today. It's not the time, it's the quality of that leadership and your guidance. He set up a third universal theory. What does that mean? It's really a participatory democracy where the power is really in the hands of the people. He has popular committees deciding the fate and the future of Libya, and he, as the supreme guide, just sends down guidance, that's all, and lets the people make their future. Now, these arrogant Westerners want to feel that the world wants their brand of democracy. Do you think that they are rising in the Arab world because they want this style of government? Talk to me. Do you think you have democracy? All of you who believe that you are really in a real democracy, raise your hands. I didn't see one. Not even government people raised their hands. Because you know damn well that this is not a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is a government of the rich, for the rich, by the rich, and to hell with the legitimate needs, rights, and interests of the common man. Tell me I'm a liar. So why you want Gaddafi dead? He's the only Arab that has ever apologized for the Arab role in the transatlantic slave trade. Did you hear what I just said? Now, people think that I'm hard on Jews for their role in the transatlantic slave trade, which I am. But I have never, ever relinquished my point that Arabs were involved. Africans were involved. Europeans were involved in the horror of the transatlantic slave trade. So I was a guest of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. And I mentioned that the Arabs were involved in the slave trade. One of his staff people ran out of the hall and ran back to Brother Gaddafi to tell him what Farrakhan had said. And guess what Brother Leader said as I heard? He said, well, at least you know he's not a politician. See, if I was trying to curry favor to get Libyan money, I would say the thing that I thought they would like to hear. But I have never been a whore, and can't nobody buy me Allah is sufficient. And for any of you stupid reporters who are the enemies of the American people, to say that Farrakhan supports Gaddafi because Gaddafi loaned millions of dollars. Let me tell you something. What Gaddafi loaned the nation is like somebody spitting on fertile ground expecting a tree to grow. And for you to malign my character, that you think that I speak for him because I need money. I say to hell with all the money that he and everybody else has. I am not supported by that. I'm supported by Allah, and the love of the people for me, they support me. And they have given me more than Gaddafi has ever promised to give me. Look, Gaddafi, now this is the real hatred for this man. He set $70 billion in an African development bank in the city of Sirte is where the bank was going to be. Listen to me now. So that Africa would never have to go to the international IMF, or the World Bank to borrow money at high interest rates. But being a Muslim, we do not believe in usury. So he had $70 billion set aside for African development at no interest. When you see a leader doing that for his own people and for Africa, when they are sucking the blood of every nation, including your blood, let me tell you about your blood. You think the Federal Reserve Bank is government owned? The Federal Reserve Bank is a group of international bankers